thanks for having us at Ronin Lightning Talks, and I'm actually pretty excited to share this way to connect researchers through Wikidata, and to actually present it with Daniel. Daniel is someone I met through Ronin, and that's Ronin in action. And when we connected, we had some sessions together, and it so happened to be that I was invited to go to a workshop in Germany, a couple of minutes away from where Daniel lives, or a couple of hours maybe. And I was able to invite him over, and we had a great time with trait researchers. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as we move forward here. So some of the things I'd like to talk about, or we'd like to talk about, is that the challenges that we have, the social technical challenges of getting people to collaborate with each other. And this is all about exploring existing collaborations, like who's working together already, and exploring future collaborations. And then, so this example is specifically geared towards the Open Traits Network, and I'll get to that later. But the Ronin Research Institute, like many other communities, might be able to take some ideas from this, or vice versa. So specifically about the Open Trait Network, is that it's a research network. It's a decentralized research network that was formed a bunch of years ago, and they're really focusing on the traits of biological entities, right? So think of the size of the nose of a mammal, or the leaf size of a plant. So these are all things that are being studied by biologists, and they're pretty intensive to study. You have to do a lot of measurements, and there's data sets coming out of that, all that knowledge. And the idea of the Open Trait Network is to help figure out ways to more efficiently share and collaborate, and reuse these data sets and these knowledge bases. And in inviting Daniel to the mix, we also added this thing called Scholia and Wikidata to it. So the Open Trait Network already had like a very basic way to collaborate in the form of a website that can be edited collaboratively through GitHub pages. And Scholia and Wikidata adds that's a really neat way to link people and their research products to the mix. So here's a little bit more about the Open Trait Network. I talked about this already, and maybe Daniel can talk a little bit more about the Wikidata and the Scholia aspects.
Okay, do you keep sharing your screen so that we don't swap too often? Yeah, so Wikidata is explained further down. So this is essentially a sister project to Wikipedia. It takes the Wikipedia approach that anyone can edit it from the encyclopedia to the database world. And Scholia is an engine that allows you to visualize some aspects of what is in Wikidata, and it is geared towards visualizing like the scholarly content of Wikidata. So papers, authors of papers, the institutions they are, the things they work on, the methods they use, these kinds of things.
Okay, thank you. So, so in like trying to figure out how to put these networks together, we actually used a workshop. We were in person and we also prepared for the workshop. And we experimented with ways to combine the Open Trade Network with Scholia and WikiData. And we had a lot of fun hacking some prototypes. And this is one of the things that we saw as overlap, right? Open science. And there's a lot of aspects to open science. There's open source software, there's open data, there's open access publications, et cetera, et cetera. So in sort of looking at the overlap here, it all sort of, you know, it's something that we all have in common. So the OTN is the Open Trade Network is an advocate for open science, and you'll find a lot of advocates in Wikidata and Scholia also. So what did we do? We created a way to scan or track Wikidata and Scholia for things that are related to the Open Trade Network. So, for instance, what kind of authors affiliated with the Open Trade Network, like what did they study? What kind of taxa or biological organisms do they study? And what kind of traits do they study, right? Leaf size, nose size, body mass, etc. And what kind of events do they go to? And what kind of methods do they use? And what did they publish, right? So these are very general relations and now apply to a very specific group of people so that you don't get to drink from a fire hose, but more get to explore your colleagues. So here's a CSV file that was basically gathered from that. So you can actually go here and you can find the this CSV file. If we have some more time, we can sort of poke around a little bit. So here's a list of the authors and the taxa that they study. So if you're looking for collaborators, then you know this might be one way to connect. Also publications, it's kind of neat. So this is a publication graph as visualized with a little web widget provided by Scholia, and you can actually poke around this yourself in this pager. Here's a little list of publications and associated Open Trade Network authors. And if you go to this, the affiliated or the associated Scholia profile page of the Open Trade Network, you'll be able to see the co-author graph being rendered here live. So it's getting to be so big that my laptop is generating a lot of heat, which might be able to grow plants maybe, but I'm not doing that yet. And here you can see the co-author graph. So here you can see some central nodes and some outliers too. So it's kind of fun way to sort of have a look at how you can, who's working with who. So here's something that's applied to invasion biology. So you can basically explore by topic. It's another way to sort of group and connect people, right? OTN members. And here's some more examples. So here's the taxa, and here's the methods and the traits. So all ways to sort of connect to folks that are affiliated with a certain network. So we explored a couple of ways to connect to people, right? Through publications or through events that people attended. And things that they study, methods they use, and yeah, collaborators, right? Through these shared interest and publications.
I'll just note you're at 9.5 minutes. So
okay, great, thank you. So, you know, these are some of the discussion items that we also asked during the workshop. You know, the associations between researchers and the work they do is a very personal thing, right? So, you know, one question is like, who's gonna curate that knowledge, right? Who's gonna be in charge of these things? Specifically, you know, if I go to a certain event, I might not want to make that public, right? So some more sort of questions are like, how do you feel about someone else editing your OTN profile? So on the Open Trade Network, you can edit your own profile, and you can actually see that here. So you can go to the members, and then there's always an edit button here. So how would you feel about someone else editing your own member page, right? You can basically edit it here and submit a pull request. You know, what's the benefit of this if someone else is keeping your profile up to date? Similar for Wikidata, right? Wikidata is designed to be open and editable by anyone. A lot of these relations are maintained there. So how do you feel about that, right? Having your, basically the guts of your research being linked and made available through Wikidata. So these are questions that came up between me and Daniel as we were building these prototypes, and I'm very curious to hear, first of all, how you feel about it, and second of all, how it might apply, how this model might apply to Ronin as a way to make it easier for Ronin scholars to connect by topic or publication, or to figure out where which events people go to. So yeah, there's a great organization in Germany called iDiv, and they funded the workshop. It's specifically geared towards synthesis and biodiversity data, and that's exactly what we did here. And Daniel was also supported by some other projects.